should lose those things, but we should combine them with the old ways as well. Drop the fear. I like this philosophy. I came up with it. I think other people probably have, but I did. I said, well, I'm just going to pretend like it's the 1990s, party like it's 1999.
Hey, let's do it.
Prince, and I have a computer, no matter how small it is, or it's a tablet or whatever. It doesn't have to be connected to the wall. I pretend like it's connected to the wall, like the old school computers in my day. You walk around the computer, you'd be like, oh my computer. You know, the big old school computers.
You gotta find an outlet to plug it into.
And where's the dial-up phone connection?
Yeah.
That's all we had to do. We had to plug it in. And so
I feel like instead of connected to the wall, it's connected to us now.
Exactly.
Literally.
So you have your, I don't have one in my pocket, but let's pretend this is, the phone, and you have a way more powerful computer than that big one we had in your pocket. So it's a very strong. There's all the whole library of Alexandria, data. The Library of Alexandria represented all the knowledge of its time thousands of years ago. Nowadays, huge, vastly. It grows. The whole Library of Alexandria is made every day. So we have that there in our pockets. So when you are dependent upon your phone for GPS, for everything, for connecting to other people, you also are not using your brain as much. So it used to be, you go to a place, you really study the place, you really learn how to get around, you study your landmarks. That's the only way. You don't get lost, and that's what I do. I did in Tucson. I know Tucson pretty well. Yeah. I didn't use GPS once.
Yeah. You just said we don't use a lot of our brains, and you think that has to do with also now that we can easily just go on GPS or dial up an Uber, get in the Uber, and it takes us, and it's just convenient. And we live brainless.
Or a simple math thing. Instead of subtraction or whatever. Instead of just doing it in your head, you pull out your little calculator, and so you're not engaging your brain when you should have just done the math in your head. It's not hard math.
Do you think that we worry too much about the physical beings of ourselves, especially like on social media, comparing ourselves to others, rather than our mental strengths and exercising our brain?
Ask the young ones about that.
We were just taking pictures for Instagram like a couple hours ago, and I deleted one of them because I was like, ew, I look fat. And instead of thinking about how like that verbalized statement coming from myself about myself would like internally like upset me, instead I just like took it and was like, no, I'm getting rid of it.
And that's subconsciously going to be with you all day, and that's something you should be like, I love myself, this is me, that's it. It shouldn't be like that. Because like you said, when you're born, you come into this body, and the things you tell yourself is how you really want to live your life.
Wow, this is really cool, guys.
I believe in.
I'm so happy. I just want to say I'm so happy I'm a part of this.
Yeah.
This is excellent.
I mean,
on point.
I'm happy the conversation, is good and it's going. I believe you manifest, everything in your life, and I believe that people overlook that and they're just so disconnected and they're on their phones. And like a lot of people are starting to like realize that more and more. I feel like when you said with meditation. But then a lot of people are like, you're weird for thinking that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, but in reality, we might have just fucked ourselves up so bad with these phones and technology. And like, my generation doesn't know nothing compared to your generation does.
Very good point.
I think
very good.
We have all these people going into auditoriums and talking to kids about fucking drugs, but why not phones and the effects of phones? And you have kids over there. How many kids if you're sitting in an assembly or an auditorium, and you got kids thinking about committing suicide every day because of what they see or how they feel because of the internet, and they go home and they're lonely or whatever, and that's not talked about. That's overlooked. We have education where we're filled with math for years and years, but never mental health. And when kids do go for help, they don't actually get that help. And I just think it's sad and it's overlooked.
Well, that is in my generation it was the same thing. The mental health was not. There was still a lot of that going on, I just can't imagine being in high school or whatever with smartphones because they didn't exist when I was in high school.
And do you think that was a good thing?
Now that I look back, I'm grateful that I of the generation before that technology.
I think we should.
I mean, we had but even few people had cell phones in school, and it was a new thing, so most teachers didn't allow it anyway. You know, you weren't supposed to have phones in school, even though they were just phones, basically. You could text and you could call, and I think you could send little pictures.
You know about the old ways and the new ways. Nature likes balance. Like, nature considers balance in everything. Humans do not.
Yeah.
We don't. We will go right off a scale if that's what we feel like doing. And so I really think we just need to take a step back and realize what our balance is.
Well, like I believe that the technology is not a bad thing. Okay, it's your addiction to it.
Yeah.
It's the overuse. It's the over reliance upon it.
So when we're talking about like the big techs, and you're talking about how a lot of people step down, and they're starting to talk about the addiction and like the ads, and they're trying to keep you on. So do you believe if there was just a flat surface of technology, it's on you the way you feel off the social media platforms, but it's on these big companies that keep you addicted and keep you coming back.
And they're always refining the program to make it even more addictive.
And you think people are aware of that?
Some people are, but very few. But now it's with artificial intelligence and algorithms. The artificial intelligence is studying people's psychology and figuring out more ways to make it more addictive, to make you sucked in more and more. It's only going to get worse and worse. You haven't seen anything yet. We are upon the cusp of the fourth industrial revolution right now, and Elon Musk and a lot of the smartest people on the planet when it comes to technology, Elon Musk especially, have said that this is the most will change society more than any of the other three previous industrial revolutions. The last one was the information revolution. Well, this is the artificial intelligence, the internet of everything.
It's the most connected technical era we're ever going to be in.
And now that they have the 5G infrastructure in place, pretty much, now you're going to see they needed that bandwidth. 4G was not near enough. With 5G, now you're going to see an escalation of technology like you've never seen. It's going to robots. Everything, the garbage can is connected to the internet. Your coffee machine is connected to the internet. Everything is connected. Your car.
We literally have smart fridges.
Our car literally drives themselves.
That's going to be commonplace in 5 years. Almost everyone's going to have one of those. Yeah.
We have fridges with touchscreens, and you can literally go to social media on that touchscreen of your fridge.
So
why do we need that?
Right?
we don't.
You don't need a lot of.
So everyone's just gonna sit inside, lock themselves. And when did it ever become normal? Like you said, you travel a lot. When did it ever become normal to stay in one spot your whole entire life, or do one job your whole entire life? When did that become normal?
Just now.
When did we
the last
stop?
5-6 years.
When did we stop, keep changing and exploring? Why do people just think, let me find a comfortable ground and stay there?
Like you said, it's a free world. You could go wherever you want, but
Well,
people just choose to be stuck in one place.
Keep it that way because powers that be are trying to steal that from you.
Sometimes people
They
are
really
more
are.
scared of freedom than they are like comfortable with
They just want to be comforted in one place.
And I think even
Creatures of
social
comfort.
media and the influence of internet has a really big impact on that, because now if somebody goes missing and they were just a nomad just wandering around, they just magically go missing. So many more people are going to hear and find out about that than they would if that had happened in the 1900s.
You can really be anonymous.
Yeah, you could fake a whole existence back then. Now, there's no possible way to do that. You can't abandon your identity, but there's also just so much more connection to things that are terrifying that we find out about. People just going missing, and that just deters people from doing that. Even though it might even be better now than it was in the 1900s, but we don't know that.
So we're talking about deterrence and fear, and we were talking about before. You think a lot of people walking down the street nowadays, after going on the news and after going on their phone and seeing people getting stabbed, raped, murdered, people going missing, you think that instills fear and it deters people from doing things that they would have normally done?
Well, Devin, I'll just answer your question. I'll start with that's my experience is I don't see that stuff. I don't plug into that. I haven't seen I didn't know anyone was going missing. I didn't know there was a war. I don't look at it. I don't need to look at that bad news. You know, like Jack Johnson, you know, like the song, you know, we look for the good news, turn the bad news off. Those bad lullabies coming from the television, you know, don't sing me those.
He doesn't look at the news. You guys are on your phone, I guess, often. You guys see that there's more hate, that there's more division put out there than love and togetherness. Right or wrong?
Yeah. I see it every day. I see it, but I really don't comment on it or look at it too much. I just try to keep a positive outlook and not involve myself as much. I am aware of it, but I don't really want to be stuck in that place just thinking about those negative things day after day.
Yeah, and for me, it's more like, if anything, I refuse to let the awful things that happen in the world steal the joy that I create for myself. And doing that, I actively have to every single day wake up and like claim the day in a positive mindset. And I have to like remind myself when I see negative things like on Instagram or TikTok or any of my social medias that like
Live in
it
the
happens. Like, but it's not happening
Can I add
to you.
Yeah.
I would like to correct myself. I used to many times would go on YouTube. YouTube's been around a long time. And I searched for the conspiracy videos, the Illuminati is going out to get us videos of all different kinds. And I realized a few years ago, because I did that a lot, I already know that. I don't need to give them my energy. I already know there's a corrupt world out there. That's all I need to know. The more that's a rabbit hole that you go down. You don't need to give them your energy. You don't need to know about it. So they will go away faster if you don't focus on it, and you go out and you focus. Instead, like one of the things I like to do is when I go to get my coffee or whatever, I always write a little note, a little card for the person I'm buying coffee from. It just says nice thing about me. It doesn't have my phone number or anything like that. It's just, you know, I like your shirt, or I like, you know, I think that your hair looks great. I just pass it in, and you know, I start my day off with a compliment now because I'm on the road. I live here though. I know this is where the road ended. But so I stopped doing that, looking at the negative, the conspiracy. Not that it is valuable to know these things. You should try get the information. Once you have the information, don't look over and over and over and over and over again at all the different angles and different ways. Just know it and say, well, I'm going to fight it with love. Now that I know it, I don't need to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why, specifically, I go out of my way to do things that bring positivity not only to myself but others, and that's one of the reasons I decided to create the poster and ask people one thing that they're thankful for, just to diffuse the mindset that like everything awful is going on in the world, and just focus on one thing that brings joy to your life.
The camera's good? Alright. Can I see this? Guys, I want you to all comment what you're thankful for. And actually think about it. Do you think that if everybody woke up in the morning and looked at themselves in the mirror and asked themselves this question, that their whole life would change, the whole day? What do you think the best thing you could do in the morning is? To have an amazing day, a productive day, to see the world in a positive spectrum?
Gratitude. One of my habits I've been doing lately is I put on YouTube a gratitude video. There's many of them, and I have a whole, in my favorites, a whole list of them. I choose one, and I put on my headphones, whatever, and it's all about gratitude. It's just like thankfulness and photos and smiling faces and puppy dogs, and, you know, and rainbows and all that stuff. And I've been doing that for, like, my mom she was a very special mom, and she taught us this as children. Before there was, like, she had gratitude books, and she's always reminding us of that every time. Oh, well, you guys don't. She would tuck us in bed. She'd say, don't count your blessings, not your losses.
Yeah.
When you go to bed, count your blessings. Do not count your losses ever. You always have losses. Everybody loses things. Don't count them. you're gonna get a little upset. Oh, I lost my phone. Well, you know, a new one will come your way. As soon as you can let it go and go back to gratitude, the sooner your phone comes back to you.
Yeah.
You know, the more that you focus on the loss, the more you're not attracting energy. You're actually repelling things. So you want to be in that state of mind. It really is. Did you ever see? There was a Japanese science. Zamoto or something. I can't remember his name, but he photographed water crystals.
Yeah.
And he would put things like gratitude on them, or thankfulness, or love your neighbor, or whatever, and he would photograph those crystals, or peace on earth, and they'd be beautiful, like, you know, these intricate gratitude. You should see look it up on your phones, on your computers.
Check it out.
The gratitude water crystal. It's just amazingly beautiful and intricate. Then he would do the opposite thing with, like, I hate you, or you're ugly, or you know, poison, or just negative things of all kinds, and it is distorted, gross, ugly water crystals. They have no pattern to them. So he goes, well, what if this happens to water? What do you think happens to you? When you're constantly negative thoughts in your mind, negative to other people, you're going to create a negative soul and a negative mind. Didn't I tell you that about aging? Is don't be negative ever. Well, it's the truth. Just look at the water. What are our bodies? 70% water.
Yeah.
Or more.
What do you guys think is a good thing to do in the morning to set yourself up for a productive, positive day?
I set my intentions for the day, whether it's to be like productive or to take time for self-care or to like focus on remaining positive. Lately, my daily intention has always been just focus on being positive, because right now it's really difficult to do, specifically with like the election and just current world events. It's really difficult. So that's what I set my intentions for, and I actively try to do something for it every single day.
That is the beautiful thing to do.
When I wake up, I always think about, you know, what kind of day do I want to have? And am I going to have a positive day? Or am I going to have a negative day because of this one thing? Well, I mean, it's my body, my mind. If I want to have a positive day, I'm going to have a positive day.
I wake up in the morning and I open up my window. I share a room with my sister, so I talk to her and I ask her about how her day's gonna be, and she asks me about my day. And we just set our intentions too. We just talk about the positive things we have right now and what we're gonna look forward to throughout the day.
So we're talking about waking up in the morning, setting the mindset correctly. You're talking about the crystals, and
I also do the same thing you guys do. Manifestations is also
instead of the crystals, let's use our brains for example. Now, majority of people wake up, they go on their phones. And do you think that phones distort everyone's reality?
Yeah.
And I saw a study that shows that something like 80% of the planet now, that's the first thing they do after coffee is check their phone. They get their coffee or whatever, their stimulant, and they check their phone. Or sometimes, maybe you guys don't even go to coffee first, but I'm addicted. I know I go straight for the coffee. But I have decided, though, to not do that right off the bat. I check my social media, my emails, things like that, around 11 or 12 or whatever. I've chosen that. I don't even worry about it in the beginning of the day, because I want to go see the sunset. I want to go out and go to a coffee shop, and I would like to go out and see the birds. And if I'm on this phone, I'm going to miss that. It's one of the most beautiful times of the day is the morning. There it is. I think the most beautiful time of the day.
So, ladies and gentlemen, he sees the real world around him before going on his phone. Like, if you guys did that, I feel like your life would change so much. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Like, now talking about it, I think now I really want to just invest my time in my life and not my phone, and not negative thoughts and negative things. Just keep going forward with a positive mindset and smile and just have a good day.
Yeah.
But I would say that don't worry. You can do. I do selfies. I like it. You know.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with this. It's fun. It's fun for everybody. It's fun to put little. It's okay. You can do it. Just don't have it on call all the time. Have your time when you do it. can be daily, or I would suggest you go days without it at all. You know, go on a camping trip and don't take your phone.
Yeah.
You know, I go on 6-month vacations, and people are like, I want to see all your photos. I said, yeah, I took like 5 of them, and they're all really bad ones. I'm like, because I don't even worry about that. I go out and I go see like DePaul or whatever, Guatemala. The phones I have of my vacation are the pictures that other people took that they sent to me, and they're like classic photos because they're just not staged. You know, it's like I collect emails or whatever, and I say, yeah, you know, I don't take many photos or have my phone on me very much, or a camera. So, could you send me some photos so I have some, and then they come to me. So a lot of the photos on my social media are the ones that other people took that I am in. I like that, but I just say it's fun to do Instagram and all that. There's nothing wrong with it. It's the overuse of it. It's overuse.
I think recently the world is just so gray and colorless around us because of all the stuff happening now and just being on your phone in general. And the world could be like way more colorful because when I was a child, like we never were on our phones. I never could afford a phone, so we would just be outside every day doing something fun, invest our time like looking outside, being comfortable, not sit at home and just stay hooked on everything.
I don't want to get political with it, but no matter who's in office, is it the man or woman who's in charge that can unify us or divide us, or is it ourselves?
It's yourself.
It's our conscious choice to stand on either side of it instead of being part of a solution.
What do you think about this?
Exactly right. Divide and conquer is the motto of those who enslave you. It has been for thousands of years. It's only gotten more sophisticated. So instead of divide and conquer, we unite. And by uniting, we conquer the conquerors. Because that is really what they have always been trying to do, is divide us in any way. The rich, the poor, the black, the white, men, the sexes. There's so many ways that divide us. The politics, you know, Democrat, Republican, straight, gay, whatever. There's going to be natural division in life, but those divisions should be honored. It would be a boring world if there wasn't opposite things. I mean, we need opposites.
We're all the same.
All the same.
What do you think about putting a label in front of everything? We were talking about gay, straight, black, white. I feel like
I think we should stop that.
Kanye West was talking about it when he has to talk about him being rich. He has to say he's the second richest black man in America instead of the 78th richest man in America. But why is that? What do you think?
Well,
we should stop?
it's just programming, just habit that we have, and we can break those habits. We don't have to see a black man. We can see a man. You know, we don't have to see men and women. We can see people. You know, and through labels, I think to have a language, we need to have labels. That's what language is.
Yeah.
But the over focus on those labels is driving a wedge between us, and we can relax those. We can relax those, and we can become more unified.
Yeah. What about you guys?
No, I think at the end of the day, at least for me, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you think politically. I mean, even though we may not be, you know, sitting next to each other, we may be mile apart, a couple hundred miles apart. At the end of the day, you still live in my state, you're in my country, you're in my world. You know, I think we should practice more love and positivity.
Do you think humans lose focus in that we're cocky about it and we think everything was put around us for us? Everything on Earth is meant to be for us, and people don't see that eventually, like, us as a species is not going to be here.
See, I think we've adapted to the world we've created. We didn't create a world for us. We created this monster of social media and constant interaction with like people you don't know, the news. All of this is always and constantly in your face, and we've adapted to that instead of allowing ourselves to create something that was meant for us. Like, we were not created to constantly have our face in a screen. Like, it has physical health effects. Like, it causes physical
Not
things.
good for your neck, it's not good for your hands.
Yeah.
you talking about that, and we did not create the best world for us. We just adapted to us, the world that we created. What do you think about cities? What do you think about cities?
Oh, cities.
We built up these, like, say, let's not take this city for example, but more like an LA or a New York City where we have blocks and blocks of tall buildings, and there's no mountains, no land, and it's just, you're not connected with the earth.
May I start with this one? You good?
Yeah, sorry. I watched something recently, and they were actually talking about the first city and how cities popped up. And they said before we had cities, we were all hunter gatherers. We didn't really settle down anywhere. We would go get berries or go hunt. And the concept of our hunter gatherer groups was one for all, and the fact that if you didn't have enough, if you weren't able to gather enough, people would go out of their way to make sure you had enough in their group. And in cities just kind of just ended up being a bunch of people built together. I think it was the first city. I watched it on Neil deGrasse Tyson's Cosmos. He was talking about the first city. God, I'm trying to remember her name. I'm sorry, I can't. But he was talking about the first city. And the first city didn't even have like doors. It didn't have windows. They literally had rooftops, a whole rooftop, and people would walk across the rooftops to get to their house.
What I would like to say is that I think that we built more, whether it was social media or just the way we developed, of more of a competition mindset rather than helping each other. Like, you talk about how people would help each other if they didn't have enough food. Nowadays, there's poor people sitting in front of a Louis store, and they're just walking in buying a $600 bag, $500 shirt, and walking out and saying fuck that person. And then why are you not helping them?
Yeah,
we're supposed to help each other.
I don't think I've ever been able to relate to people like that, because it's just, sometimes there's this disconnect between those who have and those who don't, because the people who have everything they could ever ask for don't really understand
When you don't have anything at all.
and how much of a struggle it can be to like have to live like that. And I didn't really come from a good family originally. I remember living out of hotel rooms and not having food. Like, my brother and I, just toddlers, all we had to eat was like chips, maybe a piece of bread every once in a while. Like, we were the definition of poor. And I'm lucky enough now to be able to work and make my own money, but when I do have things, like today we had like Kool-Aid and Swiss rolls, and we had $8, and we went and we bought snacks, and we gave it to the people we saw, and we were just like, do you want a Kool-Aid? And this lady asked to borrow a phone, and we let her borrow the phone, and we were just like, do you want this Kool-Aid to go? Because it was really hot out, And like, it's never my first thought to brush off people like they need help, and it never has been. And I wasn't specifically raised like that. Like, I was raised by, like, after I got out of that family, where I was practically destitute and had nothing. I was put into a middle-class white family, and they had no idea what that was like. So I've always been the one in my family that would like sit in the back seat of my car in my little car seat and ask my mom, why aren't we giving him like our sandwich? Like, we have this extra sandwich. Why can't we just give it to this guy on the street? And my mom said, I remember this so vividly, because I could read his sign, and all I could read on it was veteran, and I knew that my dad was one of those. And I was just like, he's just like Daddy. Like, we should help him out. My mom was just like, he's gonna use it for drugs. And I was just like, the sandwich? It was like, what? And she was just
I
like,
got a sandwich, you got some crack.
exactly.
If you know how to use that for drugs, let me know.
That was just my mom's mindset. Like, she just thought that helping these people would lead to them just doing bad things, because obviously they had to do something bad to get that point in life. And that was truth in my case. Like, my parents, before they had me, were doing a lot of really bad things, and they were in the position that they were in because of a lot of specific choices they made. But I really don't believe that's the case for a lot of people.
It's not the case for everybody.
It's not the case
It
for
is the
everybody.
case for some of them, yes. actually probably the majority. But
And that breaks my heart, though, that they fall into that minority of the people who struggle and just people refuse to give them help because of this other majority.